So hi, welcome to Good Noise Podcast here with Jayden from With Confidence. We're going to ask some questions today. I'm going to start. So what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
One more time, sorry?
What inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
Great question. What inspired the creation of the band was actually a drunken New Year's Eve, where Josh and myself were out getting drunk in Sydney City, and we knew that we both loved music, and Josh played drums, and I was in my bedroom doing YouTube videos, and we were like talking about it, and it just drunkenly came up. We just said, why have we never jammed before? Like, we should get together in your shed, and we should just be really loud and create some music. And it kind of just went from there. The band name was actually inspired by a song by The Dangerous Summer, which is one of my favorite bands, one of Josh's favorite bands as well. They have a song called Of Confidence that we had actually been covering at the time at our practices. And we kind of just morphed it a little to represent something we wanted to go into with confidence.
Okay, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So congrats on your newest release, Love and Loathing. How do you feel about the response to that album so far?
It's been really good. I think Moving Boxes just hit 10 million plays the other day on Spotify, which is really cool. It's one of those things, like, our first album was pretty successful, like, for a first release. And it's always kind of nerve-wracking trying to top something, I guess. So, when we were recording that, there was like this concern, like, it's like, what if it's not going to be good enough? People need to look at a band and think that, there's progression and they're still doing really good stuff. But Moving Boxes ended up being one of our biggest songs. Pacaret is still, like, in our top played. People really, really love that. So it's nice to know that the new album still had a bunch of songs that people really, really loved, and didn't kind of just get washed out by all the old stuff, So I think it went well. I'm really excited about it still.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good follow-up album, so...
Thank you.
So is there any meaning behind that album name or the cover art?
Yeah, I mean, God, I haven't talked about Love and Loathing for a second. It's kind of about the contrast between the two. The songs kind of leaned on, like, a spectrum on the left or the right of that topic. A lot of the songs are, we've written a few love songs before. Let me get it up on Spotify. I'm actually going to look. It's been a second. There is kind of this idea of like loathing and self-loathing and negativity. And I guess I'd kind of just say it's, like, about the balance of those two, the yin and the yangs,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your writing process for that album?
Sure. The writing process, we kind of experimented a bit more with this one. We have always been a band that liked to jam stuff out in a practice space. We like to be really, really loud, and we like to make sure that it was kind of written in, like, an organic rock way, and then when you go into the studio, that's when you would kind of, like, iron it out and polish it out. But on this record, we did a bit more experimenting. We did some writing in the studio this time. We did some writing, like, just by ourselves, and then bringing in something that was more finished. But, for the most part, these are all just really loud practice-based songs that came together in the studio.
Okay.
Solid.
Yeah.
Did you prefer that over how you wrote the first album? Like, would you do that again, or would you mixture the two?
I mean, I love them both. I really do love them both. My like, full-time gig at the moment is I write and produce for other artists. And, being able to do that has, shown me this other way of writing, which is, just meeting up with someone you've never met before and trying to talk about things you both can have experienced and relate on, and just writing something from there. And it really has given me this understanding that there's so many ways to write a song, None are correct, none are incorrect. They're all just different. And I honestly like them all for different reasons. You know, they definitely produce different results. But I just like songwriting in general. You know, they're all great.
That's fun.
Okay.
That's fun.
So then what song on this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
The one that took the longest to write was Bruise. That was actually supposed to come out on our first album, Better Weather. That was written in 2016, I believe, 15. It was written in 2015. I remember showing our producer of Better Weather, Stevie Knight. Shout out to Stevie. I'm actually wearing his band's t-shirt right now, The Dead Lover. You should check him out. But that was also a drunken night. I feel like all the WithCon stories.
That's great.
We came back from, we were all hanging out. We all went and got some beers, and we came back to Stevie's house, and I showed them Bruise. And they really, really loved it, but I just felt like it wasn't ready. And I couldn't get it there. I couldn't get it right. And when it came to tracking the first album, I just wasn't ready. You know, I felt like I couldn't do it properly. So I just held on to it, and I held on to it for a couple more years until we ended up recording it in 2018. So I would say that's the one that took the longest. If we're going to ask my favorite, that's really hard. I would maybe say Tales, which is probably the least big song on that album. But I love it because it's one of those things, like all of us in the band, when we play that song, we all just really enjoy it. And you feel a vibe when you're playing it, and it's something a little bit different for us. And I feel like the lyrics were really meaningful. So I'd probably say Tales. Yeah.
Taste. Yeah. All right. That's good. Can you tell me where your headspace was while creating this album?
I guess it was created over about a period of a year. I don't know. My headspace was everywhere, I guess. I was, we were touring a lot when we wrote this album. So my head was on the road a lot. Get really creative on the road. When you go out and you experience a lot of stuff, meet a lot of new people, it kind of inspires a lot of writing, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, also going into the studio and kind of being by yourself, headspace was kind of very internal, I guess. But I don't know, mostly positive. I mean, I always write positive music for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think, the overarching idea of Love and Loathing is that there is a positivity there and a hopefulness, so I would probably say that that's where my head was at and is probably going to continue to be at for the rest of my life.
Okay. I mean, that's different from most answers we get, which is I was really sad in a deep depression, that's how most people write music, I guess.
I was hopeful about it.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
All right.
Good. That's fine.
You always got to have that sprinkle of sad,
Yeah, exactly.
fresh out of a breakup, something like that. Is there a certain feeling you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Is there a certain sort of what?
Feeling?
You know what? No, it's up to the listener. I that's not something I would ever really think about. I just kind of write what is real and organic and true. And I know that people will hear it the way that they need to hear it. It's one of the best things about music is how subjective it is, and how it can differ from one person to another, the way that they're hearing something.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that there was a feeling that someone's, supposed to hear, understand, or interpret. I think, they're just supposed to listen, and if they love it, they love it, and I hope that they feel something.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one should go super, super fast. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words.
Love and Loathing.
Cheap.
You took the
Cheap.
easy way out. I hate this.
I'm sorry.
I hate this game. So, how do you feel about the growth from your first release until now? You did kind of touch on it in the very beginning, but
Yeah. Good. I feel good about it. obviously, you know, we're at a weird time for touring and stuff right now. But between when we released the album, we did, I would say, probably like 1.5 world tours. And we got to do stuff that we hadn't done on this album. You know, we got to play places around Asia that we'd never been before. And, you know, we would go there and there would still be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of kids that knew us and really loved the music. And that was, I don't know, that's always the craziest feeling when you go somewhere and people, you know, relate to the songs that you wrote in a place you've never been. You know, it's a crazy feeling. We got to do a lot of that. We got to, you know, look at the numbers and see that there was this growth that happened. You know, all of the, you know, the Spotify numbers went up, and, you know, there more people were coming to shows as well. Yeah, it was just kind of this organic growth that was happening. And it is always really weird as someone that's, you know, been with Confidence since 2012, having people come up to me and say, like, oh, like, I just found out about your band. I love Love and Loathing, you know? So that's always a really weird feeling of people that are, you know, just discovering us for the first time now. After it feels like, you know, it's been my life for almost a decade, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the growth was really, really great. And I'm actually really, really excited for the next album now. That is honestly just around the corner.
Are you serious?
How around the corner are we talking?
Yeah, what are we saying right now?
Well, I mean, early next year is definitely...
I saw you, like, freeze up there. You're like, how much can I say?
Yeah, that's all I can say. Early next year is where we'll definitely be hearing some new With Confidence.
Okay. We won't push too much out of you because we know there's labels, but okay.
So, I'll definitely get in trouble.
Yeah. I love that. All right, so this question might be a little weird, but it's been on my head since the first time I've listened to this song. So
I love it.
You have this song called Voldemort, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. At the end of it, you have like this crowd cheering. Are those like your friends? And then also in the very, very end of it, it sounds like you're calling for somebody called like Jody, Brody, I don't know. Did you ever find them? Like, I've always been so confused. And that's it. That's my question.
Sorry. Oh, Jody. Yeah, I heard the Jody.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So that's actually a fun story.
Okay.
So the end of that was actually filmed in a bar in Sydney, Australia. It's a bar called Frankie's, and it's a pizza rock and roll bar, and it's one of our favorites in the world. We still go there today. And it was the bar that we went when we were first talking about the album with our producer, Stevie. We said, look, let's meet up at Frankie's. We will just drink a bunch of whiskey and beer and talk about the album. And fun fact, this was actually the same night that I showed them Bruise at the end of that night. But we went to Frankie's, we did the thing, we all got in the same headspace, and we went and we wrote and we recorded Better Weather. And then, you know, halfway through that process, we were recording Voldemort, and we thought, you know, we really wanted the end of this for it to be, you know, fun and positive and energetic. Like, we want to hear all these people talking and laughing. But we didn't want to, like, pretend to do it, you know? So took a bunch of microphones, and at about 5, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., we went into Frankie's again, and we ordered a bunch of beer, and we set the microphones up in the corner, and we just hung out with a bunch of people, and nobody knew the microphones were there. So we just recorded for about an hour, and ended up using the takes that we thought were the best. I think just before you heard that Jody, some person was asking if they brought the dress to Frankie's. Like, I don't know, you can hear it, like, did you bring the dress or something like that?
Yeah.
But, you know, we thought it was like a nice little tribute to the place that Better Weather started in such a positive way. So yeah, it was just a field recording of a bar where everyone was legitimately having a really good time and enjoying themselves.
Oh, that's so wholesome. I love that. Yeah. I love
that. So tours in early 2019, you went on a North American tour with Set It Off and Super Whatever. How did that come about?
How did it come about? I mean, we've been friends with We've been friends with Set It Off. I actually wrote a song on Set It Off's last album. Stitch Me Up was a song where we came together, we just hung out. And from that point, we were all in Los Angeles, so we just hang out. And then when our name came up for their tour, they thought, we would love those guys on. So I think we also did some dates with them in Asia as well. We've just been around the same areas. We did Warped Tour as well. They're just friends, I guess. A lot of people don't really know, but like touring usually just comes together. It's not like a bunch of people's, behind tables and desks sending emails. It's really just a bunch of friends hanging out and being like, I'd love to tour. Like, this would be fun. That would be fun. All the bands that we take on tour when we tour are just bands that we really like and respect and, dig their music. So I think it just came together because we're friends. And we met super whatever on that tour and fell in love. I love Sky is one of my favorite people. Such a weird, awesome, cool, creative guy. He's doing some really cool stuff now too.
Yeah, this guy's one of our good friends here, so
that's love to hear that.
Bullied him onto the podcast.
Hell yeah.
Wait, so you mentioned like it's usually you bring on like your friends or people that you just respect on tour. Is that the same for Seaway and Dollskin? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, of course. Seaway we actually brought to Australia in 2016. I want to say could have been 17. I think it was 16, but we brought them to Australia and we had such a good time. We just took them all around, our home cities and we got to introduce them to crowds of like almost 1,000 people where they'd never been before. And, we just had a really good time with them and we had a bunch of fun. So when it came to organizing a tour in the US, we were looking at people, we thought that would be a really, really good match. Was that the only band you asked about? Did I get distracted?
Dollskin,
of course. Sorry.
It's all good.
We went on Warped Tour with Dollskin. We would hang out with them frequently. They're some of the coolest people we met. They're so talented, unbelievably talented. Sydney is such a crazy vocalist. I actually got the chance to write with Dollskin as well for the new album. So that'll be a really cool song that comes out. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's usually just friends. It's the best way to do it. I mean, when you're touring, you're away for sometimes like 3 months with a bunch of people that you see every single day. You want it to be people that you really like to hang out with. Yeah,
that makes sense. Right, that's cool.
Totally.
So what can fans expect for your 2021 tours if the world allows that to happen?
Hopefully it does. Our fingers are crossed. We're hearing some good things. We would probably say to expect. The music is different, so the live experience is going to be different. Okay. I would say it's going to be a lot weirder, a lot cooler, different kind of energy, but definitely bigger. I think we are 100% stepping it up on this album, and I think the touring will definitely reflect that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I have something to say. So we already said like we're not going to push you for album stuff, but you said it's going to sound different. What are we talking about? Different how? Whatever you can say. If you want to say anything, like no pressure.
I will say this. Kind of like our motto for this album was we experimented like crazy.
Yeah.
And we really fell in love with ugly, like off-putting, quirky sounds.
Okay.
And like the worse it sounded, the more we loved it.
Okay.
So, like, while the songs themselves are still with confident songs and they will undeniably be, we're going to try to make them as catchy and as fun and as possible. There's a lot of weirdness in these songs, and we definitely stepped outside of our comfort zone. So that's probably all I can say, but it's definitely different, and I'm excited.
Okay.
So did you guys just like go 100 gex on us, or like
100 gex? Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh,
awesome.
So
Major
excited.
influence. And you said you've been hearing good things about touring and everything. Do you guys have at least dates tentatively booked for 2021 at some point?
Dates that I can't talk too much about. We do have the Slam Dunk dates set in right now. They're already announced. Where everyone's really hopeful for those. We'll have to see how it turns out. We're not sure about those. But fingers crossed. But definitely mid to late year where we're feeling hopeful about.
All right.
But I guess
yeah. So where do you see the project in the next 5 years?
Just being with Con, just living the dream, man. Just writing and touring, and trying to constantly expand and push ourselves as musicians and artists. I would say that's the next 5 years for us.
Okay, solid.
Yeah.
So for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Totally.
Sick. So we're going to move straight to death row.
Boom.
So, if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Infinite boom.
Ooh, last meal with a drink.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I would say Veggie Grill is it's like a takeaway place. I'm not sure if there's much on the East Coast, but on the West Coast there's a bunch. It's basically just like vegan McDonald's.
Okay, I could go for that.
Great. Yeah.
Bomb stuff. It's really good. And for the drink, I would probably say like a polar seltzer. That's an East Coast thing.
Yeah.
And I love polar seltzer. Literally all I drink these days. That and coffee.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
I would live in the Harry Potter universe.
As you should.
Yeah, absolutely. I would probably want to be like a teacher at Hogwarts, or maybe I could work in the Ministry of Magic when it's good and not kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
Depends who's doing it. Definitely the Harry Potter universe. I'm still upset that I never got my my Hogwarts letter as a kid. So maybe I could be a teacher or something. I don't know.
Okay. I have two questions about that. One, if you were a teacher, what class would you teach? And two, what house are you in?
I'm Slytherin, 100%.
Okay.
Many as that's getting confirmed as a Slytherin, and it feels right. I've never thought about what I would teach.
Come on.
I mean, Defense Against the Dark Arts is probably the coolest. But God, there's so much cool stuff. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would probably say Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Okay.
Or Hagrid's assistant. Either or.
Mm-hmm. All right, taste.
Yeah.
So I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
United Nations blue is usually what I go with. It's a very specific shade of blue. Mm-hmm. If you Google it, you'll see it. It's very calming, but at the same time still has a little bit of energy and excitement to it. I think it's probably a reflection on me. I would say United Nations blue. Good question.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Not plug. I guess I'd want to thank anyone that listens to our band. Thanks for listening to our songs and sticking around, and I'm really excited for the next chapter.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for sitting down with us. This has been Jayden from With Confidence and We're the Good Noise podcast.